Friends, your host and judge for Cardinal Film Fights. Before we start, just want to give you a quick note that we are changing the format of our show. Instead of doing 4 questions that equals out to roughly an hour, we're going to be doing 1 question that equals out to roughly 15 minutes. For the most part, format will stay the same. We're going to have a 60-second intro, a 5-minute forum, followed by a 30-second conclusion, but we will not be keeping track of points because there are no points. Whoever gets first is the winner, second is the second place, and third is the third place. We will also not have any tiebreaker questions because there will be no ties to be broken except this bow tie, and if you break my bow tie, I'll be mad. So,
and I'll break
without further ado, let's introduce today's fighters. They're going to give us their name, their grade, their major, and a fun fact about themselves. We'll start right here.
I like to have time to think of my fun fact, but my name's Jacob Gennon. I'm a senior telecommunications video production major, and boy, it rained today.
We are from the Midwest, where weather is our major sport.
Oof.
Yeah. Moving right on over.
I'm Haley Parnell. I'm a freshman telecommunications major and a women's and gender studies minor. And between the ages of 4 and 14, I wanted my career to be a professional hot dog eating champion.
What?
Admiral
Why'd you
dream.
stop? That's awesome.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a side job. You never know.
Yeah. And moving right along.
Hi, I'm Hunter Schaefer. I'm a freshman telecommunications major with a focus on video production. And the last thing that I ate was a strawberry wild from Jamba Juice.
Ooh.
It was delicious.
Was it? That's
Yeah,
good.
just tasted like victory.
Victory.
I'll taste it again.
We'll see. So, today's question. You know, friends, we all have decisions we regret. Things we wish we could go back and change. Now, we can't do that in real life, but we could do that in movies, because movies are not real life. What? In fact, they are quite pointedly not real life. So today, the question we will be dealing with is the best movie that deals with time traveling to the past. We're going to start with Haley there.
Okay. I picked Back to the Future. Despite its name, they do travel to the past, I promise. It's 96% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's such a perfect use of going back in time because you literally he has to go back in time to ensure his own existence in the future. It just has so many amazing qualities to it. The informative opening scene, the coolest movie car of all time, the DeLorean. And it's an excellent portrayal of the 1950s when he does go back in time. And I just think all of that just makes it such a good movie.
Nice. We're going to move over to Hunter there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to argue Terminator 2. I feel like it's probably the one that stands out and holds up the most. And honestly, I just think it's incredible. It won 4 Oscars for the incredible CGI. It was one of the first movies to show that special effects and CGI can be viable and that they can be convincing. They still hold up today. It got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was a critical and box office and viewer success. Like, it's just an incredibly great film, and it's so ingrained in our culture. Some of the one-liners in there have just been memorialized in pop culture, and I just feel like it's one of the best. It's one of the best action movies, one of the best summer blockbusters of all time.
Right on. And we're going to finish up with Jacob.
My favorite movie that deals with time travel to the past was Looper, starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Man, I want to preface this. This was so hard. I love all of these movies. This is going to be terribly difficult for me to argue. Yeah. One thing I could think of that sets Looper apart from Terminator 2 and Back to the Future is, like, what I think sells Back to the Future is certainly its portrayal of the past, but also the feel that you're honed in on one person while all of this is happening. Whereas Terminator 2, everyone's in it for the action and whatnot, and it feels kind of more worldly, like there's a bigger thing at stake. It's kind of involves a lot more people. And I think Looper does a great job of combining both of those qualities. We follow this guy around as opposed to a whole army, and there's action and gunfights just on a much smaller scale. And I just think it has both qualities that made the other two movies great.
Excellent. So now, without further ado, let's get into our 5-minute forum. That's 300 consecutive seconds. Oh, crud, they started. I'm sorry. 300 consecutive seconds of fighting. Go.
Mush.
Okay, well, to comment on your intro thing, I think that I love Back to the Future for the reason that it does hone in on a character, because I think it's what gave us the name Marty McFly. It's what is ingrained in everyone's brain, and it's something that everyone can just think of right off the spot.
I think, oh geez, they're all such good movies. I think Back to the Future is certainly, I think both of your films are more iconic than mine. I will say that. But I think
Thank you.
that doesn't
Thanks.
that doesn't speak for story. I think it speaks for not necessarily gimmickness, but just kind of different techniques are used in each film that make it good on its own. And I just think Looper's kind of more for the people who like a drama with the elements of time travel and this action element. I don't know. I just think it's all of these cater to different audiences. But I think Looper's more for, I don't want to say serious film enthusiasts, but Back to the Future and Terminator are both like iconic to the point where it's almost a joke. You know what I mean? Like you say, like, get to the chopper, I'll be back. Like as a joke because of, that doesn't take away from its credibility, but like it's just,
Chopper's not from
it's become
Terminator.
something that Looper is not. I think both of the films have. That's what I don't know.
Okay.
They're all so
well,
good.
Okay.
No, Terminator 2, I just feel like it's like the action movie. Honestly, I feel like if you made a list of action movies, like top 5 action movies, Terminator's going to be somewhere on that list. Terminator 2 is definitely high up on that list just because it's iconic. Like just the image of the Terminator with the motorcycle, the biker jacket, and the boots, it's burned into our cultural mindset of who the Terminator is, even if you haven't seen the movie for yourself. And I feel like Terminator, I love Back to the Future, but I feel like more people recognize Terminator nowadays than people recognize Back to the Future nowadays. I feel like more people have seen Terminator than they have seen Back to the Future. And then Looper, on the other hand, yeah, it's a great film, but I just feel like it's more of a niche audience, and it's not as widespread, doesn't have that widespread appeal that the other two films have.
For Terminator 2, I can totally agree with you that it would be like the action movie, but I'm going to have to say Back to the Future is the time travel movie. Like that is mainly what it is focused upon and mainly what it deals with. And I know that's not like a genre like time travel, but if it were, it would be Back to the Future.
Is it cool if I?
Yeah, go.
I think both of you guys are arguing like how iconic the films are, but I would also argue, so the question is, best time travel movie. You guys are arguing the iconicness of your films, but The Room is also iconic, and it's a terrible movie. I don't know, just something to.
But I think also like iconic is part of it, but it's iconic while also being good. Like we know that Back to the Future and Terminator 2 aren't The Room. That would be
I don't
really
know why
weird.
you brought up that comparison. No.
I think it's fun that Joseph Gordon-Levitt went under like heavy makeup to look like Bruce Willis, a younger version of Bruce Willis. That's pretty fun. I don't know that your guys' film used makeup at all, so
So hot.
I guess I'd say we got that going.
Well,
So, I guess.
didn't look up the makeup
I
artist,
don't-
so
So I want. It
Sorry.
sounds like one of the big contentions here is how well does your movie actually use time travel to the past? So, start with Hunter. Hunter, how well do you think Terminator 2 actually uses time travel to the actual
I mean,
story?
it's central to the plot. The whole reason that the Terminator exists in the first place is that he has to go back in time to make sure that the leader of the future resistance doesn't end up getting killed by the previous Terminator. And I just feel like because it's a central part of the plot, and the fact that that's literally why the character exists, that's why the whole plot of the movie is being driven forward in the first place, and why the ending that happens there, it's one of the most horrifying instances of like nuclear Armageddon that you've ever seen on screen. I just feel like it does a really good job of showing that sometimes you can't really change the past.
And I think Back to the Future is like the same instance because Marty McFly goes back in time to ensure that he will be alive in the future. But it's also focused on the central character, so you're more invested in the character and what
Being
he's
a looper
going
is a
through.
job. You go back in time and kill people.
Nice job.
Just wanted everyone to know.
Just wanted you all to know. Okay. Well, we'll start with our 30-second conclusions. We'll start with Hunter.
Oh God. Okay. Well, honestly, just Terminator 2. It is like the quintessential action summer blockbuster. I just feel like it's so iconic. It's so burned into our collective consciousness as Americans and just people who enjoy film in the first place. And I just feel like that alone makes it one of the best time travel movies of all time. Like the whole plot revolves around the idea of going back in time to save this kid in the first place. And I just think that you can't really beat it.
And Haley.
I'm still going to Back to the Future because I think that it is really important that you focus on the main character rather than in Terminator 2 being more of a group setting. To be more close with Marty McFly during his time travel, which is literally the whole film. And I think as opposed to Terminator 2, which you keep saying is going to be the action film, like Back to the Future is the time travel one.
And Jacob.
I think Looper has a unique take on time travel. It combines the best parts of Back to the Future and Terminator 2 for a movie that does not have as much recognition but is still nonetheless a good movie. Also scored a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, same as Terminator 2. So I think it has credit and uses time travel good, and it's a really good film.
They're all good films. So
Yes.
watch all of them. We're all winners here.
Any facts to check, Vaughn?
Mark says otherwise.
No.
Oh, okay. Did you know that the male anglerfish is actually only a fraction of the size of the female? It's actually only about this big, while the female is like the big anglerfish you all know. So what the male anglerfish does is when it finds a female anglerfish, it latches onto it, burrows into it, and then dissolves and becomes one with its bloodstream. It becomes nothing more than a parasitic growth that pumps sperm through its body to fertilize the female anglerfish.
That's beautiful.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yes. Relating this back to time travel, anglerfish have yet to time travel. That I know of. Never encountered a time-traveling anglerfish. Of course, I've never encountered a time-traveling Michael J. Fox or Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Or
Bruce Willis time travel.
I did encounter Arnold Schwarzenegger time-traveling, but I think it was for a separate thing, not for the movie. So, anywho. Oh, it's Bruce Willis that.
Yeah, you can whatever.
It's fine.
Doesn't matter.
It's fine. So, anywho, I'm going to give first place to Haley, second place to Jacob, and third place to Hunter. Hunter, they kind of hit you hard with that Terminator 2. While it does have elements of time travel, and while it does utilize those elements, it's going to be more remembered for its action and for its high-octane action sequences. Jacob, I think you made an excellent argument that Looper uses time travel effectively, but it lacks the iconicism of Back to the Future. And I think Haley defended well that Back to the Future is both iconic and a good movie, and that it uses time travel in clever ways. So for this film fight, to recap, Haley first place, Jacob second place, Hunter third place. I'm your host and judge and moderator, Mark Rollins. As always, you can comment in the boxes below. Tell us if you like our new format, if you don't like our new format, any questions you want to see argued, or just any fun facts you may have heard. We like fun facts here. At least I do. Hit that like and subscribe button. Have a wonderful day, evening, month, year, lifetime. And thank you for watching Cardinal Film.
Cardinal Film Fight.
Don't.